Once upon a time, in a beautiful land filled with lush green forests and golden wheat fields, there lived a poor miller with 3 sons. When the miller passed away, the eldest son inherited the mill, the middle son received the donkey, and the youngest was left with nothing but a cat. The youngest son sighed, "What am I supposed to do with a cat? I will surely starve." But this was no ordinary cat. The cat put on its boots and said to its master, "Give me a bag and a pair of fine boots, and leave the rest to me." Though puzzled, the desperate young man granted the cat's request. The cat skillfully hunted a plump rabbit in the forest and set off toward the king's palace. Along the way, he rested in the shade of grand cathedrals, crossed ancient stone bridges, and drank from cool rivers. Upon arriving at the palace, the guards stood watch in the magnificent courtyard. The cat proudly presented the rabbit, saying, "A gift from my noble master, the Marquis of Carabas." The king was impressed by this noble gesture and graciously accepted the gift. Day after day, the clever cat continued hunting and presenting various game to the king. Sometimes a fat partridge, other times a rare wild duck. Each time, he proudly announced, "This is a gift from the Marquis of Carabas." Hearing this name so often, the king began to believe that this marquis must be a very wealthy and powerful nobleman. One day, the cat instructed his master to bathe in the river. "Do not be afraid, just trust me," he reassured him. At that very moment, the king's splendid carriage, pulled by elegant horses, was passing by the river. The cat rushed forward, shouting, "Help! The Marquis of Carabas is drowning." The king immediately ordered his men to rescue the young man. The cat then exclaimed, "Robbers stole my master's clothes!" Hearing this, the king had his servants dress the young man in the finest silk garments. Meanwhile, the cat hurried ahead and came across a group of farmers working in the fields. "The king is passing through soon. If he asks whose lands these are, say they belong to the Marquis of Carabas, or you will face great trouble." The frightened farmers obeyed, and when the king asked, they all said, "These lands belong to the Marquis of Carabas." Seeing the vast fertile lands and golden fields, the king grew even more impressed by the young man's wealth. At last, the cat arrived at a grand castle. It was an enormous place with towering spires, a stone-paved courtyard, and beautiful stained glass windows. But inside lived a powerful and cunning sorcerer. The cat approached him with a sly grin and said, "I have heard that you can transform into anything you wish. Can you turn into a mighty lion?" The sorcerer laughed loudly and in an instant transformed into a massive lion with a blazing mane. The cat pretended to be impressed and then said, "That is amazing! But can you turn into something as small as a mouse?" The sorcerer, eager to show off, immediately shrank into a tiny mouse. The moment he did, the cat pounced and swallowed him whole. The castle now had no owner. When the king arrived at the castle, the cat proudly stepped forward and declared, "Welcome, your majesty! This grand castle belongs to the noble Marquis of Carabas." The king, now fully convinced of the young man's great fortune and wisdom, happily offered his daughter's hand in marriage. A grand wedding was held at the castle, with music playing and tables overflowing with the finest food. Thanks to the cunning and intelligence of his cat, the poor young man became incredibly wealthy and powerful. As for Puss in Boots, he lived in comfort and luxury in the grand castle, enjoying the rewards of his cleverness. And so, through wit and cleverness, a poor young man gained great fortune and even a kingdom. And the cat? He rightfully claimed his place